So, John, what are your thoughts on the new GPT 5.5? Have you gotten a chance to use it yet for like general chats or coding?
Yeah, I've been playing around with it this week. It's definitely an improvement over 5.4, and especially with following instructions. It feels like it's doing much better job getting me to the result that I want. Feels like I don't have to babysit it the same way we had to do with previous models. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's significantly better also for like general chats, like strategy. I quite like the pro version as well, the pro variant. I'm not sure if you've tried that yet. It's a bit faster. Like before, it used to take like 10, 15 minutes, and now it takes around 5 minutes. And I feel like it's more intelligent. Like it gives me more of a Opus 4.6 vibe, like it's smarter. Like, more autonomous and smarter in general, more intelligent. I've also, it's also more efficient, like token wise, and I've seen some stats around that. Like it looks pretty good. I think GPT 5.5 medium is more efficient than 5.4 X high, or something like that. So I quite like it so far. I've also enabled it in OpenClaw, although I haven't used it a lot, but it also seems to be a lot better. It has better personality, which was a big pain point for using ChatGPT models in OpenClaw compared to the Anthropic ones. So it seems like a solid update. I'm quite happy with it.
I'm interested in that personality because I know the previous models from OpenAI, they kind of lost it and they were very blank. So it's going to be interesting to see how that improved.
Yeah, like it seems like, so for a long time, the Opus models, the cloud models, were considered to be more autonomous, like more intelligent, like figuring out themselves what you're trying to get out of it. So they didn't need like extremely specific prompts. And now it seems like with the new models for both Anthropic and OpenAI, they're each going the opposite direction. So Opus 4.7 seems to be like require a lot more specific prompts, and that's what their new prompting guides are telling us. And on the other hand, GPT 5.5 seems to be a lot more autonomous, so it doesn't need prompts that are specific as before, which I quite like. Like I've always liked this kind of approach.
Yeah, I definitely prefer that approach because back in the day when we had to write prompts that were very specific, step-by-step instructions with a lot of edge cases, it was kind of a nightmare to maintain it. But now when you essentially give it the goal, what you want, you really focus on the context engineering and you get to the outcome. It's much better for scalability and maintenance because you don't have to maintain like hundreds of very, very specific prompts. It's so much easier to build anything with that.
Yeah, I understand why OpenAI moved in this direction because it feels like the best approach overall. I'm not really sure why Anthropic moved in the opposite direction with 4.7. Maybe they thought, for some tasks that are more complex, more difficult, having that, general approach might not get you the results you want. It might not be so consistent, right? So maybe they thought, okay, let's make it a bit more specific, a bit more focused, so it solves these issues. But it seems like they went too far now. Like the
Maybe they
pendulum.
also optimize it for the user behavior. So with ChatGPT, people tend to do like simplistic prompt, and then they need to optimize for that behavior. And with Anthropic, it's used a little bit more with people who are more technical, so they tend to be more specific. So there is a chance they fine tune it for specific user behavior as well.
Yeah, who knows? But I'm sure because so far from what I've seen, Opus 4.7 has gotten a lot of mixed reviews or even negative reviews from a lot of people. And personally, I've stopped using it almost right away. I've gone back to Opus 4.6. So for now, I'm still using that whenever I still need to use Claude. So I think 4.8 or 5.0, whichever one is next, I think they will backtrack on some of those features.
It definitely got, at least it feels, it got a little better since the release. Like the first week was horrific. It was so difficult to work with the model. And nowadays feels like they fixed something in their backend. So it's better. It's still not what it used to be. It still makes Manus 4.6, but hopefully 4.8 is going to go back the right direction.
Have you noticed any other quirks or weird things or bugs with Claude models recently? Because I think I noticed, so until recently, like for the last 6 months or so, I've really liked the deep research mode of Claude, right? I thought it was like significantly better than every other like deep research mode out there. So with Opus especially. So I've tended to always use it for anything, whether it's like business stuff or personal stuff, whenever I need to research something or look for options. But I've started using it these past few days, and it seems to finish a lot faster, and like it's not doing such a deep research, right? Like it feels
They
like
try
it's doing
to
light
minimize the
research.
token usage for you so they can save some money. That might be it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They try to optimize it for performance as well. So if they can, because it has the adaptive thinking, I think that's how they call it, right? So they can shrink the number of reasoning tokens as much as necessary to get the job done. And that's in their favor, right? So if they do it the right way, they optimize the usage of their models, they don't burn too many tokens, and it's definitely better for their economics.
I mean, that would make sense if it was only for Opus 4.7, but I'm still using it with Opus 4.6 extended. And again, it feels like lightweight research. So I think
Sometimes
they're
I run
just
into
nerfing all of the models right now. Like, they don't want to use as many tokens as before.
Sometimes I run into the very opposite problem in Cloud Code that I give it a task and it just keeps going and keeps going and it feels like it's never going to finish. And sometimes after like 15, 20 minutes, when it makes very little progress, you just stop the whole task and you need to start all over again. So feels like it's very moody. Sometimes it tries to cut it short. Sometimes it goes on very extended reasoning trips.
And is that Opus 4.7?
Postwave 4.7, yeah. But in Cloud Code, so I assume they have it fine-tuned. Maybe not fine-tuned, but the system prompt is probably very different to what you see in the UI.
What effort level are you using it with? Is it
I usually go
high?
for medium. I usually go for medium unless I'm at the very beginning of some new build out. So if I want to build like a new set of features, I go to extreme high or whatever they call it, X high. So I bumped it up as much as possible. But even at medium, sometimes it just gets stuck in the loop and it doesn't get the job done and it just gets confused.
Yeah, like overall, it just feels like a rushed model, like inconsistent. Sometimes can be great, a lot of
They need to
times
beat
not
each
so
other
great.
to the market. So that's the thing. If one releases a model, the other one has to as well. But hopefully the next version will be better. And hopefully it's going to be better at the simplistic prompting, because that's what I appreciate the most.
Let's hope so, because GPT 5.5 is offering like very strong competition. And I can only imagine they'll continue on this path with the next models. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic here. A few months back, Meta acquired Manus, which was an agentic company, agentic AI technology that I thought was the smartest, like the best out there until OpenClaw appeared. So you could use it to, for computer use stuff, like you wanted to do something complicated on a website and didn't want to waste like hours trying to figure it out. I just used Manus and it would solve it for me in a much shorter time. So Meta acquired it. I thought, and I think a lot of people thought it was a very smart acquisition, even a $2 billion. But now the Chinese government seems to have blocked the acquisition, which means the deal is off. Basically, I suppose Manus is back on the market. Have you used Manus before, and what did you think of it?
Yeah, I used it pretty heavily at the beginning because I think it was one of the first agentic tools that we had available that was actually working on its own to figure out your solution for your problems. So at the very beginning, I was pretty heavy user. Then OpenClaw and other alternatives showed up, so it kind of faded away slightly for me. But yeah, it was one of the revolutionary tools that we've got. Getting acquired by Meta was the very logical way. And it's a kind of shame that they can't fully integrate it, because it would be good to have one more competitor in the race. And hopefully it would help Meta to get their agentic tools and agentic platform up to today's standards. Now unwinding it whole thing, it's going to be very interesting if it's going to end up being owned by one of the Chinese models or whoever feels like it's going to be a good purchase for them.
It's a good point. Who knows? Maybe they will be required to sell to a Chinese company now, right? If they want to sell it at all. Like, who knows what the
Yeah,
intentions
it
of the
sounds
Chinese
like they don't want
government are.
to really share it with the US companies much. So I guess that was the whole purpose of kind of putting a stop sign on the whole acquisition, that they want to keep it
Yeah.
inland in China.
I mean, it's hard to say if they just have something against Facebook because they've kept rejecting any of their like initiatives in China, or they just want to sell it to a Chinese company, like you said, and they want to keep that technology.
They also
I,
tried
for
to
one,
originally go around all the rules, right? Because they were based in out of China, then they kind of moved to Singapore to move outside of all the regulations, and then they got acquired by Meta. So maybe it's just the government sending them a little signal that this is not how these companies should be handling it.
I for one would have loved for a company like XAI to buy it and like catch up. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see if they sell at all and what's going to happen. But it was a really good technology, and it is a really good technology. So it would be a shame if some of the top AI companies in the world wouldn't be able to like make use of it, and therefore all of us have access to it.
Yeah, more agents, the better. It's always the thing. So I wish it comes back to life and we can use it more.
So speaking of Manus, until very recently, Manus was basically the only official way for you to access the Meta ad accounts, like the information, the metrics, and even control the campaigns in there. And now, I suppose it might have something to do with China blocking their acquisition of Manus, but they're now releasing CLI and MCP server access. So we should be able to use any AI tool to connect to the Facebook and Meta accounts.
That's going to get very interesting, because then we can literally build agents to manage ad accounts, and it's going to unlock that whole new layer of optimization. Plus, let's be honest, the dashboard in Meta Ads is not the most user-friendly way how to manage ads, because the overwhelming number of options, settings, tweaks, and most of them are not 100% relevant to you. So having a whole different way how you can manage and maintain your ads is going to be super powerful for users. And someone like us, we can build self-optimizing agents and actually use it in real world.
Yeah, this should open up access to a lot more people, because it's not so easy to learn how to use Facebook. It used to be a lot more difficult. These days it's a bit easier, but even now, like you said, a lot of features, a lot of bugs still on the platform. The platform is quite slow also, so especially if you have like a lower end computer, it can take a while to load the ads and everything, the previews, especially if you have a lot of ads in there. So for one, it's going to make it a lot easier for more people to control their Facebook campaigns via AI models. And the other side to it is that, like you said, we should be able to create agents that analyze the performance, make changes automatically, launch new ads, generate new ads, and so on. So I think
Yeah, it's
that's
gonna make
really
it
good.
very interesting for the market, especially for you being in the industry. I think that's gonna unlock a lot of hyper testing.
Yeah, and it should allow to manage a lot more accounts at once and still be on top of everything and not miss anything, and even offer us like more information than we'd normally get just by looking inside the accounts.
Even for reporting, right? It's going to be so much easier to fetch all the data from the platform and just shrink it in some digestible insights. So it's going to definitely change the game. At least that's my hope, because whenever I log into the dashboard of ad accounts, I would prefer to have an agent to do the work, to be honest.
Yeah, this is a really great release, and a bit surprising, because for a long time a lot of developers have complained about the Meta API and how difficult it is to use, or restricted in certain ways, like you couldn't get access to anything you might have wanted to do in the ad account. So that was a real problem. But now, everyone should be able to use from their own, ChatGPT account or Cloud account. So I really like this.
I'm definitely going to build some small AI agent this weekend to play around with that and probably go crazy on some ad spend on Meta.
Awesome. Okay. So that's all for this week. Thank you everyone for listening to us.
See you on the next one.